Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Mixwave Gojira Mario Duplantier 2. And yes, before anything, I do say Mario, not Mario, so if you don't like it, eat my ass. Okay, so the song that you heard was processed by me a bit, so what I've done here is open up a new session with it fully stocked. So I'm going to go over some pros and cons about this drum library and let you guys know what I think about it at the end. Just to let you guys know, I did pay for this with my own money. It is not sponsored or did not receive it for free or anything of that matter. Okay, so let's start with the pros. For me, the most obvious is the sound. These are mixed and recorded by Taylor Larson, so to be expected, these sound really, really good. Right now I have it set it up just on the default view, and we're going to go over some of the sounds. So as you can hear, these are mixed and they sound incredible. Like, this is an amazing starting point and even honestly end point to any mix. What's cool is you get 3 snares here: a black brass snare, a Tama 50th anniversary snare, and a Tama bell brass snare. My personal favorite is the black brass just because it has a bit more body and girth to it, which I really like. With drum sound being mentioned, what's cool here is you have some of Taylor's options here. So there's default kit, what I have here. There's boost and no boost. He also has unmixed in here, which is really cool. That's really nice because if you really want to make this drum sound your own and process it how you like, you have that option, which is really cool. Also, just in case you want to know what the boost does, it triggers additional drum samples on that specific instrument. So there's more sounds here. We have Terminator. So as you can hear, there's a lot of options here that you can get started with or honestly just end your project with. If you're someone who's not familiar with mixing, what's really cool about this is you get a bunch of different sounds to cater to your kind of genre or style of music that you want to play. So the next pro, which I really like about this sample library, is that you get more cymbals than the original. Here you get 2 hi-hats, 4 chinas, a ridiculous 27 inches, what the hell? You get 3 right-hand crashes, which is really cool. And you get 2 left-hand crashes. A thing worth mentioning about the toms is that they have a normal tuning and they have a really dead tuning. So let's check that out. Normal. Pretty much dead. It says low, but it's really dead. Normal. So yeah, as you can hear, there's like no sustain to these. I think this would be cooler for like an indie kind of style. I don't see that, to be honest, working in metal. It's just, there's not enough sustain. It'll just get buried really quickly in the mix, but it's cool that that exists because you can now do more with this library than you can the other. One of my biggest critiques about the original is that the sampling was honestly not that great. I felt like you got a lot of machine gunning, so here is where they really stepped it up, I find. I have a quick little demo here that I'm just going to play. It's obviously, everything you're going to hear, I didn't do 127 notes to show you the 127 articulations, but this should give you a good indication of how well sampled this is. So as you can hear, this is really, really, really well sampled. It's incredible the range you have. You can go from super, super quiet to nice and punchy and loud. Ironically enough, I do find this sample library sounds the best when it's in the like past 110 range, but that's in a metal and rock context. Of course, like it depends on context of what you're gonna do. This can, you know, adapt and do what you want it to. So speaking of samples again, what's super cool is you get 2 kick drums. So if you want, you can have the alternating kick drums to give that slight variation in sound, or if you want to be super consistent, you can just play all your MIDI on one kick track. What's cool about that is like you get, again, more bang for your buck. You're just going to get a bit more options to choose from. Hi-hat is what's super impressive in my opinion. Like, look at all these articulations you can do. That's really crazy. I've yet to see anything like that well articulated, and it's really cool to see that they went and think about all these little things just to make it that much more special and impressive and honestly usable. Having that much flexibility just makes you more creative, and you could do smaller things you didn't think you could do before in your writing process. Another thing I found really interesting is there's rim shots for toms. It's not something like I mess with, but it's there. It's kind of sick. So I'll start with the center. And this is the rim shot. You can hear there's the click on the rim, and there's a little less sustain. So yeah, that's really impressive. I mean, I don't have experience with a million different libraries, but it's really cool that you can have that option. Another really cool thing that you have with the toms is you have a top and bottom mic. So the top will give you more attack, and the bottom will give you more sustain and low end. It's really cool to have that option because it's not something you see honestly ever, so I really like seeing this option in there. Another thing I really like about this drum library is that it's really pretty and it's super easy to use, you know? So when you go into the mixer, everything is just kind of easy to understand. There's nothing too complicated. Another thing that's really cool is if you go into the contact view and then click info, when you hover over things, you'll get information about what things do. So if I come over to the tune, if you see at the bottom it says adjust the tuning of the selected channels in Sense. Drag while loading Alt option to change the tuning for all mixers. Super simple. If you don't know what snare shimmer is, you just come here, hover over it, and it says snare shimmer volume. Controls the volume of snare shimmer. Not super descriptive, but hey, it is what it is. It's cool, you have the envelopes here if you want to control attack, hold, and decay. So decent amount of selection there. Settings here too, you can change the notes if you want to assign this to the way you like it. There's also presets, you know, for Superior, Easy Drummer, BFD, all that stuff. Final pro I would say for me is that it comes with TCI files, so if you do have something like Trigger 2, you can load up TCI files and get this amazing sound to enhance or completely replace drums that you're working on in another project. So now I'm going to go over some of the cons, which to be honest, there's not that many. My first, I guess, biggest complaint for me is just the ride. I love that ride, it sounds really good, but I kind of wish there was another option just in case you wanted to fit it in more with something. I know this is supposed to be Mario's kit and everything he plays and all that, which is super cool and fine. But seeing that they threw in a bunch of Chinas and different crashes in this one, it would have been cool for them to throw in an extra ride just to have the extra versatility. Another really small complaint for me is that the snare top and bottom can't be processed individually. You do have a top and bottom slider, so if you want more bottom in the output of the final snare sound, you could put more or less. But I'm someone who likes to process both differently, so I kind of just wish you had that option. Considering how detailed this plugin is, I feel like just that small little thing would have gone the extra mile, considering they already did all of this. Again, another small but minor complaint, and I wouldn't even say it's a complaint, it's more of a beware, is that this is a pretty large sample library. I believe it was 28 gigs, but it kind of makes sense. If you saw how much detail in the sampling there was, like, you're going to have a larger file size. So people that have limited hard drive space, just something to consider. And my final con, it would probably just be the price. On sale, it's at 100 USD, which I think is pretty reasonable. But you got to be aware that there's a lot of other libraries out there that are cheaper and sometimes have more cymbal selection, more tom selection, that kind of stuff. So it's something to consider when purchasing this. For me, at 100 USD, I think it's worth it to have such great sounds immediately at your fingertips. I'm someone who mainly just does metal and rock, so these are the kinds of sounds I'm looking for. But if you want something a bit more versatile, I think that 100 USD or 140 USD that this, I guess, non-sale price is, can get you a bit more further. I think overall, if you're a big fan of Gojira, you love Mario's drum sound, and you also love Taylor Larson's mixes, this is going to be your go-to. Like, for me, I've always loved Gojira's sound. I'm a big fan of Taylor Larson as well. I love the way he processes it. Like, again, in the demo, I did a bit of processing to the drums the way I like them, but I didn't have to do much, and that's what's really nice. You could just load this up, write what you need to write, and honestly, you have a finished drum mix right there. Probably a bit of tweaking here and there, of course, that's normal. Every song needs its own massaging and work to it, but it's really hard to get such a good drum sound so quickly. So if you have any questions, leave some comments down below. I'll try to get to them as best as I could. And if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and follow for more content.